through Turnitin Direct, because we do have an account on Turnitin through which we can check our own work directly inside the Turnitin. But we prefer Turnitin to use through Moodle. And why? Because what happens that when we add the students on Turnitin directly, there is a trouble. And that trouble is this, that when we finish our classes, then we have to actually manually remove all the students from the Turnitin accounts, and then we can get more students on. So when we do it through Moodle, I think every one of you must have gone through the notification that all students on Moodle will be removed automatically through system. So what happens that those spaces will be free. So we prefer to use the classwork, students' work checking through Moodle, and Moodle is connected to Turnitin. Right now, what happened that there is some kind of a problem in HEC's payment, and Moodle and Turnitin is having some disconnect. You will see that as an error, but I hope very soon they will resolve that issue. But we can check the work, and let's see how we technically do it. First of all, we have to talk about similarity and plagiarism. So what's similarity and what's plagiarism? And now what happens that, and then we can check that through Turnitin. So what is Turnitin? Turnitin is basically an online tool, you can say, for checking the similarity. Just a minute. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Sorry, excuse me. It is not shared. Thank you for. Has to be shared first before we start. So let me share it. And now we go to the slideshow mode so that we can use the pen and write. All right. So we will start with initially Turnitin. So what is Turnitin? It's an online tool for checking similarity of documents with other documents to basically predict the plagiarism, that if it is plagiarism or not. It is also kind of a working LMS, just like Moodle. We can also use various types of functions of Turnitin. But right now, because we are using Moodle, we prefer not to talk about that much because that will cause a trouble. So why check similarity? Because HEC and also all the publishers all over the world do have a requirement that our work should not be plagiarized, and it should not be copied or used without the permission, or we can say without the giving due credit to the owner of it. So there is a requirement by HEC. We talk about Pakistan only right now, but we should also talk about the international, because what happened that whenever we submit a paper, a research paper, or our students submit a research paper, or even they publish their thesis, it is a requirement that it should not be copied, should not be plagiarized, and it is not citing the material without giving due credit. So it could be a book, could be journal, could be research article, could be even a website which has some data. Plagiarism is basically using, there are many definitions, but the brief thing is this, that plagiarism is using someone's work without giving the due credit. Simple. You can use the work, but if someone is permitting you, and also by giving a precise citation to that. So how Turnitin help us in that? Turnitin checks all the written work, text, book, chapter, article, monograph, anything. Even now, I heard that images will be added to it very soon. Against any material that is available on it. Now, one thing is pretty clear. Sometimes we confuse the things with that, particularly the students' work when we are talking about. It cannot compare your writings or anything with any work that is not available online. Like, for example, some people copy the material from those very old textbooks. Now, those textbooks are not available online. If they're not available online, there is no way Turnitin can check. Like, for example, sometimes they copy things from intermediate or matriculation or the other books which are not available online, or some copyrighted books which there are no online versions of those books. There's a possibility. So if they copy that material from those sources, Turnitin cannot help you with that. So it just checks your work basically for similarity with any other work. So number one thing is that has to be clear that it is only giving you a similarity index and not indicating plagiarism. You have to check that it is plagiarism or it is not. Now, similarity versus plagiarism. So similarity could be anything, like a mathematical formula will be the universal formula for everyone. So everyone is using the same. Some definition in English dictionary, Webster or whatever, will be the same. Some definition in biology will also be the same. And many other, like if I say statistics, I mention if I'm a biologist, so I'll give my own example, like the gene sequences, they will be the same. So those things are not plagiarism, they are similarity. So what Turnitin is giving us, it is giving us similarity. And every similarity is not plagiarism. Sometimes it could be an unavoidable similarity. Like for example, I say mathematical form. If you are using formula again and again and again, if you are using a definition, or if I always share this example that one of our students was working on gene sequences, and she got the trouble that she has the around 70% similarity. And she's like crying that I didn't copy anything, I did all the work by myself. And my supervisor is very angry, so can you help me? I said, okay, let's check it. And I checked, and she was working on genes. And a lot of her work was basically the sequences, and those are universal. So I asked her that your supervisor has to remove this part. So when she removed, that gone down to less than 10%, 70 to 10, because most of the work was basically sequence. So it means that there is a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of the teacher or supervisor, that they have to check that whether this similarity is plagiarism or not. Now, for that, there are filters in Turnitin. Turnitin do have filters. You can filter out certain particular material out of that text, and you can ultimately go to the similarity index, and that will be that should be down if you remove that particular part, which is in your view not plagiarism, and it's just a similarity. There are HEC guidelines, 3-page document. There is a link which is given here in the PowerPoint. You'll get this PowerPoint. You can use that. A few things I have just copied, I want to mention. So this is the HEC precise policy on the similarity index of originality report is showing matches of submitted work with internet content. It is not verdict that document with high similarity index is plagiarized. There are more points you can read by yourself, but I am just reading the important ones. The similarities in the document may contain matches with the author's previous work. Sometimes what happens that our students publish a research paper, if you're talking about a thesis, they publish their research paper before they publish the thesis. So when we check their thesis, it could be highly plagiarized. See, if they have published, say, 2 papers, and most of the content is already there in the papers. So when they check their thesis, it's their own work. So we have to remove that to remove the plagiarism. So for example, it's like that. One more important point is this, that what are the ratios? If the report has similarity index less than equal to 19%, then benefit of doubt may be given to the author. So it was initially 17%, but now but the institutional could be different. Like in FCC, we have different policies in different departments, and those have to be followed. Secondly, one important thing is that any single source similarity should be less than 5%. Like if it is from single source, from single book, chapter, article, anything else, single source should not be more than 5%. It should be less than 5%. And recently, HEC is also dealing with that chatbot things, because recently we got this AI integration into the education. Students are, of course, trying to use that. How much successful they are or not, it's another story, because it's I say the versions which are more effective are paid. They have to pay for that content. But what happened that, to my information, HEC has a policy for someone can use that AI material generated from any source like DAL, the Gemini, or this Chat GPT, the most famous one. But there are more actually, Grammarly and so. But what happens that its use should be less than 5%, to my knowledge. But they are designing the policy. I don't know use कर सकते, but you have to cite. And citation, how to cite. You can tell your student that if they are using it, well, they have to cite it, that this is taken from that. And then you can see that how much you can allow. Can you allow this in your work or not? And the reference style will be shared by Mr. Gohwar later on. You can get that in the materials section. So now let's jump on to Turnitin straight. Sorry, Moodle and then Turnitin both for a live demonstration. Let me go to the Moodle and now share this. So for online people, I'm sharing the screen, changing the screen to the live demonstration. So first of all, when we are in Moodle, everyone I think know this link to go to the Moodle, login. Then you have to go to your course. Any of the courses, I just take one example of an older course. And you have to go to, I think everyone do have a training in Moodle already. Yeah. But I'm still quickly repeating the steps. So turn editing on. And you have to add an assignment in. Now your course maybe, my course layout is topic wise. Your course layout may be week wise or whatever you decide about it. But wherever I have to add assignment, for example, I want to add it in the assignment section here. So I have to go to add an activity or resource as we add all the content files and everything just like that. You can see an assignment. This is the Moodle assignment, which will not be directly checked by Turnitin, but there is an option of Turnitin assignment. So we have to add this. Go to this add button. We have to give a name to the assignment. Here we can write down any summary, description, or whatever we want. Sorry, it's a little slow to respond. And if you want to display that description on the home page, you can click this, or if you prefer not, then you can just simply let it go. Now here are the few options, which are the basic options. What kind of submission you want? A file upload, preferably. A file upload, it could be a text submission, or you simply say any submission. They can submit a text, paste it like that from their own file or whatever. I prefer a file upload. Now, number of paths. One more thing, this very important thing, which is a question mark, is basically a help button. With everything, there's a help button. You can click this. You can click this and you can see help about this particular section of. That's very useful sometimes. Now, number of parts. How many parts, how many files you are allowing them to add? 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5 is there. Now, what happened that why this is helpful? Sometimes what happened that preliminaries of the thesis, for example, or something are the same. You do not want to check them for plagiarism. Say there are their introduction materials and methods and things like that. And if you are simply adding those to the same file, they will show copy. Same thing if you are sometimes we can exclude bibliography or references. Then we can also allow them to send separate files, preliminary file like pre-file, main text file, and then the references. So you can allow them this thing if you think that that's fine. Then sometimes you can also select the file size. It's your choice. Then student originality report. So when Turnitin will get this file of a student, it will generate a similarity report. Now mostly it is generated within few minutes, but sometimes its maximum time is 24 hours. Sometimes it takes, if a very long file, maybe a complicated one, it may take, or maybe there is a load on the Turnitin. There is a possibility that it takes maximum up to 24 hours to generate a report. Now, do you want your students to see the report, or you just want to use it by yourself? You can select. So you can say yes, then they can see it. No, they will not be able to see it. You can use it. Now, important things are there in Turnitin advanced options here. Now, do you allow late submissions? It's your choice. Report generation speed. So there are three options. Generate reports immediately. First report is final. You want to simply grade them on that. Second is the one that I generally prefer, that generate reports immediately, but reports can be overwritten till due date. So there's a due date. If students submit early, they can check their work and they can resubmit. So we allow. It's your choice. But sometimes you can prefer generate reports on due date only. They have to do it once, and you have to check it once. So it's your choice, whatever you select. Now, some more important thing is this: that there is a student repository at HEC, and if you submit some paper to repository, it's very difficult to get it removed from there. So whenever you do it again, like they modify the work and they want to recheck, it will show 99%, 98%, or whatever similarity. It's very difficult to actually remove that from the, they will have to call to talk to them and like that to do this. I think someone have gone through this, right? So it's prefer that if it is not an assignment, short assignment or like that, you do not add it to a repository. So say no repository, preferably. Preferable option will always be no repository. So this will not go to the HEC's repository. Now check against stored student papers. If we have stored student papers, institutional repository or like that, maybe the same kind of students are like, for example, what happened that if you have given them same topic, then all of them are working on the same thing. Now they can copy from each other also. So if you want to check this, that this will be checked against each other's work, then of course. Now check against internet, of course, we want it. Check against journal, periodicals, publications, whatever there are most choices. Exclude bibliography. I think in social sciences, sometimes we can do that, but it's you the supervisor or teacher has to select this, that whether they are allowing it or not. It's their choice. Exclude quoted material. Like this is a good option for like excluding the formulae, particularly definitions out of the similarity index. Because what happened that if there's a definition, you can ask them to put it in quotation marks, and that those quotation marks material will be excluded from the similarity index. That's a very good option if you want to exclude certain material like formulae, a particular kind of definition or like that. But this should not be excessively used. It is advised by HEC that there should be a little percentage where they can use this option. But of course, then exclude small matches. For example, it is by words and percents. Sometimes what happens that something is matching with like 1% or something with multiple sources. And for example, I share example from my own work that if a term is coming again and again, say type 2 diabetes mellitus, if my student is working on this disease, then this word is repeating again and again and again in so many documents, and this will show some kind of lesson. Now I have an option that I exclude 2 word matches, 2 word, or maybe if it is percent, I can make it like 1%. I can see it is matched with so many sources, 1%. These are only these 3-4 words. So I can exclude those. Then similarity index will be already correct and I need not to check that. So this is an advantageous thing. Then for English people, particularly in English, they can also enable e-rater grammar check. There could be. So you can use this, like if you say yes, there'll be high school US English dictionary and things like that. You can opt UK dictionary and you can check it against the spelling, grammar, and usage style, etc. But normally we prefer not to do that. Now all other things are simply Moodle things. So we just so now we can say save and display. I think there's a disconnect between Moodle and Turnitin. So we are getting this error right now because probably there's an issue with Turnitin payment through HEC. As soon as they do it, I got this information from administrators that why this error is coming in, but very soon this will be resolved. They will pay it and that will be gone probably. So this was the way, if it happens, then you will see something like this. I have my PowerPoint for that because I had those materials. So let me stop share this screen and share my other screen. I wanted to actually display it live, but unfortunately I have to use PowerPoint for that. because of this disconnect. Let me jump on to so when we press, let's start from here. When you click save and display, as we have done, I mean, not we will not see an error, and we'll see something like this. We'll see a summary, a submit paper place, submission inbox options, and the assignments related things. Now, what happened that somehow you can see these headings: assignment parts, start date, due date, post date, maximum marks, export, etc. All of those things are somehow present in very small kind of boxes. This is some kind of layout issue with the Moodle, but assignment part one, maybe this is start date is this here, due date this place, post date this place, and here you can see a button which is of use related to Turnitin. For Turnitin, only this button is important. This pencil precisely mean edit, and a bin means delete. So now when students start submitting the papers, we will see here their submissions. We will see a list like this. When we go to submission inbox, from this place, we'll go to submission inbox. And we'll see something like this. Names of the students, yet they do not have any submission. When they submit it, we can see something like this, screen like this. Their name, the topic of their presentation, then we could see how much similarity index they have: 35%, 31%, 30%, 27, 23, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be different. Now when you want to check that what are the details of this, you have to click this particular place. When we click it, another we can say direct Turnitin will actually open, and we will see a sample, a report like this. I have used it one of my very old research papers for exemplifying, because students have see privacy concerns. They do not want us to use the file, so it's my own old work. It says 8% similarity, right? Now what happens that this report has three tabs here: originality, grade mark, peer mark. Right now we are talking about originality. Grade mark, how you grade it. Peer mark, if you are along the peers to mark each other's assignments. And here we are talking about originality. So originality, you have to click here to originality, and we will get this thing in multiple colors is actually showing how much this various parts of this particular paper are matched to other sources. And you can see the majority of sources is 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%. Now, if we want to see details of any of the part, we can simply click, for example, this, you can see all are different colors. For example, we click this. We will reach to the document at that place where this match is found, is present. So here you can see, what is this? These two words and these two words. I have said type 2 diabetes. If I use this, will again and again and again and repeat it in my paper, that is adding to the similarity index, that 8%. Now let's try, if we try another. This one, for example, we will see, we'll go to that place where here you can see again, this thing is used again. This thing you can remove by that percent, remove the percent matches. You see 1% match, this will all be removed, and your your similarity index will go down. Now some more, for example. Now if we want to remove this, for example, we have this match overview, and if you see, just look here down where my cursor is right now, you can see the filters. If we go to the filters, we can simply select the resource, and the remove button will appear. So we have, for example, we have selected this source, first one. We will see this button down there, exclude resource. All resources are still there in our repository. We can say this particular report, and we can restore anything anytime again. If we say that this is see excluded mistakenly, we can add it again by restore button, but still we can exclude the resource. Now when this is excluded, this similarity index preferably go down. Now what happens that it has its various options. For example, in this particular paper, this word is used at 3 places, like in this one, three I'll say subsources. You can also remove all of them, or you can simply check mark. For example, I say should not use this and uncheck this one. Then these two will be removed and this third one will sustain. You can try, of course, you can play with the filters. So then you can see remove. If I want to restore something after that, and I'll go to the excluded sources, this button down there, excluded sources. We go to this, and we'll see all the excluded sources here. We can select anyone and restore, or maybe restore all of them. See that again. So we can, I go back to the filters again, because this is important point. Sorry, someone was asking something. Yes. Policy on more matches, right? Selected one. They say that it should be individual source resource should be less than 5%. If it is, more than 6%, that it is simply not acceptable, and they have to remove that material which is from that source. Unfortunately, it cannot show you that because it's not working online. It's there's a Turnitin problem. Otherwise, many students work. I mean, they are using like one source is like 15% or something. I mean, they are taking most of the thing from one chapter, one article, one thing. And of course, that's not acceptable. So HEC policy is a single source, This is source 1, source 2, source 3, source 4. Single source should be less than 5%. That's the policy. And same goes for AIs. AIs, because if they have copied something from there, got something from there, then it's a single source. So in that way, it will be. So we can use the filters to remove sources and also exclude sources and also restore whenever you want. So it's a reversible, we can say. So this was about, now one more thing, the quick submit. The last thing on our agenda is basically the quick submit. So let me show you through Turnitin. Now let's, again, I have to stop this share and go online to Turnitin direct. So everyone, I think, know this address, turnitin.com. Yeah, just so now okay, so now this is the turnitin.com, Turnitin screen. We have to go to the login, and you can get your login. If you didn't get it yet, you can get it from Turnitin administrators. That should. Oh, sorry, that should. Yeah, it's yeah. One C is missing. One place. All right. So. All right. So what happens that when you go to Turnitin directly, you log in, you'll see this screen, and here you can see your name. You can click on this name, and you have to actually, if by default, there's an option. See, here you can see on the account settings, activate quick submit. By default, I think this is not on. Yeah. So you can select it to be yes to show us quick submit button. When you do this, you will see this quick submit button right here. Now you have to go to straight. This is something for particularly used for checking your own papers or like that. But if Turnitin is not allowing us to add so many students, we can also add students files here. So we go to quick submit, and here we can submit anything. See, submit button is there. Now, of course, we have to customize this, like search the internet, search student repository, periodicals, etc. Higher Education Commission Pakistan. We know that HEC also has a repository of thesis and other materials. Now, submit paper to standard paper repository. Always say no. Preferably, I suggest, because that will be very helpful. So we submit that too. Now, we can add single file upload or multiple. For example, if we have our own paper, we can simply give our name, submission title, if it is student paper or what, and then we can choose it from your computer. You can go to the simply browse button, or you can also add it through your Dropbox. So you can add it from your Google Drive file. And after that, right now I don't have a file to actually share, but you have to press upload button, and that will be added. After that, it will ask for confirmation. You confirm. When you confirm, your file will be added over there. And again, you will see something like the submission inbox that you use. And the submission inbox will show you similarity index, just like you have seen previously. If you want to add students' work, like for example, then you can also select the multiple file. If you go to the like for example, you have to check student assignments show, and of course you have to. So then you can choose the files, and maybe more than one file. You'll get next button, next button, next button. So this is also possible, and I think that you can also add zip file. If your student have submitted their work in Word files, or so you can convert them into a zip, and then you can. So this is also easier way to do that for checking students' work, and of course checking your own work, your research paper, book chapter, anything else. Preferably could be checked through Turnitin directly. Teachers have unlimited access. We can use unlimited. We can check unlimited number of files. But students, number of students is very limited. I think if I'm not wrong, 320 we can tell us. 300 students. Initially, we could add unlimited number of students. So we used to add all the students in the Turnitin class, and we allowed them to use. But now this is it's very semester. Yes. After semester, after every semester, we have to actually remove all those previous students and then add new. So because it's what happens that HEC is paying quite a lot for Turnitin, and Turnitin is a pretty costly resource. So there are more resources for checking plagiarism or so. But of course, so this was all from my side. And if you have any questions, on online side or maybe here. Sure.
First of all, about the multiple uploads, how many maximum at a time you can upload?
Right now, there's no particular limit for that. Multiple file upload option. I think I have used it for quite a big class, like 30.
Secondly,
zip is a better option to do that if you have so many files.
Will be applicable for our you normally have not that much.
That much. Or otherwise, you can simply zip their files and that.
And how is it going to be differentiated? Like for example, when we are uploading a single file, it asks for the title and it asks for the first name and second name. What about the multiple files?
Yeah, it will read these from the file names. And what happened that whenever we submit anything, it will actually Turnitin. I think again I have to show it. Turnitin actually assign. There is no need to, I think, share the screen. Turnitin actually assign an individual ID. We can say a specific kind of ID that is very different for each file. So a unique ID is assigned to each file, and you can identify the paper precisely by that ID. So you'll see that ID.
Yeah. The last question was regarding the parts that you told in the Moodle. The number of parts.
Number of parts.
That will be maximum up to 5. Can you elaborate it further, because I don't understand, is it the parts? It is the Moodle which is going to divide that in parts, or the student?
It is the student has to, yes, student has to actually upload multiple parts. I mean, they have to divide the document to parts, and submit three files,
It's like that
separate files.
features we are going to instruct them that we are going to divide it into three parts or four
Yes,
parts.
exactly.
And each part should contain this.
This is this. So preferably, we have to actually then decide that which part. Like, of course, the text part will be checked for plagiarism.
Right.
The main file will be checked. So it's start. Any other questions? Or maybe some questions, I think something we have in the chat. So if we have some questions here, I hope this is quite simple. Actually, Turnitin has so many uses. It's basically now, initially it was only checking the plagiarism, but now it is kind of a working LMS. It is having so many options, and you can use it for like grading and checking student works or assignments, or uploading the other things, and communicating with the students and so. So it's really, but that is very difficult because number of students is very limited. So we prefer to use Moodle. That is a free resource, and
So how does this grammar check work? You have a sample?
No, unfortunately, I do not have the sample right now. But it actually checks for against the US English dictionary and for the UK English dictionary.
Highlights
It highlights, basically it highlights the errors where the grammatical error is there, or mostly these syntax error, things like that, and also spelling. You can select for like spelling, you can go back if you want to. There are options like spelling errors, grammar errors, sentence errors. If there are many options, what kind of errors you're looking for, like spelling only, maybe grammar only, maybe. So according to that, it will just like this. It will highlight the place. You have to select the source and it will be highlighted. It will. No, I think not percentage of the errors. I think, but I haven't tried it, so I won't say perfectly. But I think that according to its documentation, it actually highlights the errors. Then you can decide.
So there is also text for the AI generated text like ChatGPT and
There are the two things. Initially, it was doing it actually and showing the AI resource. AI utilization separately. But now, very recently, I heard that they have removed this from Turnitin. I noticed that they changed it. They changed. Previously, it was when yes. That AI percentage, and yes. Now it's not. Now I heard that they are actually Turnitin is actually modifying their code for AI use, because AI is not that simplified now. AI has now many sources. Google also have introduced their own AI. Gemini and Dial, etc. were for images, and this Chat GPT is only one. We have hundreds of other ones. So they were actually concentrating on Chat GPT in their these formulae and the codes that they do have precisely. But because there are so many sources, Turnitin is, if I'm not wrong, preferably trying to include all those else, more sources. And updating the Turnitin, indeed, because it was not enough for the results are not up to the mark that they want, because Turnitin is a commercial resource, and they of course get the payments, and their customers will complain if it is not properly indicating. They are trying to probably modify the code. That's what I heard in their news. They have a blog and news and things like that. So if you're going through that, you get the information. So of course they have to. AI is modifying, and of course they have. But AI precisely, I think it's sometimes very useful to use certain things. And I ask my students to try it. See, I'm trying, and you also try it, but do not, I'll say, I'll say, try to overcome. And say it's not should not be overwhelming for you. That's important, because what happened that it's I have seen it very simplified answers. It's not resolving your complex queries, right? I ask them that you try it, use it, but do not trust it.
But also use your brain.
Yeah, because
sometimes even AI is the wrong.
The wrong answers are confusing things. And of course, because it, and second thing is it that it's updated. It's mostly this is available up to 2021. So what about knowledge after that?
Yes.
What about the knowledge before when this was not present? It is depending upon a limited material. And second thing that I tell my students that your brain is pretty more flexible than any of the chatbot. So if you use that thing, I think this is something that I like. So this is all. That's why this. I think someone is also. I tried, so I don't know how much.
Because those on the in person, unless they speak into the mic, we online cannot hear the question. So it would be nice if they sort of spoke into the mic.
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, we should use mic because those who
Yeah.
are sitting online, we send our apologies because you can't hear us anything that we were talking. I think they can hear.
No, I can hear you, Sabah, but I think it would be good if you repeat the question before you answer it. Then it will become easier for
Yeah,
others to understand.
yes. I think we should do it any next time. Could repeat the question.
May I add a couple of things? Thank you so much, Sabah. You've done a great job. I wondered, I missed out some of the session because I was busy elsewhere. Did you talk about AI and how that has changed the context of plagiarism, or you were not able to touch on it?
I have checked it initially in very beginning. We talked about what is plagiarism,
So,
what is
okay.
similarity.
I think it's very important. We have posted a link of a CLT brief on referencing the use for using AI, how to reference for it in different types. And I think that is very important that the faculty know and the faculty inform their students on how to reference when they make a course policy. If you look at the CLT core syllabus template that we have put up on your course, Moodle course sites, we have added some information about how to develop an AI policy for your usage in the class. And that should be helpful. When we send you a recording of this session, we'll also send you a diagram that will tell you, with usage of AI, what's cheating and what is not cheating. I think that will be a very effective document. I'm sorry, Sabah, I forgot to pass that on to you. That would have been very helpful, just one slide, and it would have made your job easy. I just saw it in my, CLT briefs. So thank you so much. If there are no more questions, then we could probably call it a day. It's very cold. How are you bearing up with the cold? I wonder. Okay.
We are still inside.
Yeah, I know, but it's very, very cold outside. So keep yourselves warm. Try not to catch a cold, which everybody is nowadays, and be well. Thank you so much, Sabah. Thanks a lot.